Well, I'm going to apologize to my 11-year-old who's in the green room trying to watch this show right now for our potty talk tonight.
Well, the president's potty talk, let's be fair.
Well, you've certainly
I'm so sorry for repeating the president of the United States.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit.
He knows how much paint is being painted in the White House. You're telling me he doesn't know what's going on with someone like this who he's known for decades? That's bullshit.
So we have lots of speeches.
Is the President of the United States and this administration doing favors for a convicted child sex trafficker? That is the answer. That should be asked every single day.
He cannot. Is he doing it so that? Are they doing it so that perhaps she will?
And all of a sudden, oh wait a minute. It's on the desk, it's not on the desk, it's a hoax, it's not, it's Democrats' fault, but it's bullshit now. I mean, they can't get their lies straight.
Who we can get to, who might be able to provide information that could bring people to justice. You don't want them to talk.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Okay. It's becoming more of a thing because of the hesitancy to deal with it. You're starting to wonder, what the hell is going on?
You talk to me more about...
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this segment. This Epstein story is just not going away, nor should it. It's obvious what's going on here, and we shouldn't just let it go away. It wouldn't be fair to the victims. Now all of it is a hoax. I mean, this is incredible to watch. We are all delusional. We are all seeing things. Check this out and we'll talk about it.
Bullshit. That's what Donald Trump is calling the story that MAGA built up for years, alleging conspiracy after conspiracy in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. And now he and his White House suddenly don't want the public to see the files they teased and promised for months. Maybe because he was told his name is in those files. In what context? That's unclear. But regardless, here is his message to his base.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit.
Also tonight, a dinner meeting that was supposed to be at the vice president's residence appears to have been moved or rescheduled after it was put under the spotlight. Maybe moved because CNN reported the group was supposed to talk about Epstein's strategy to address questions like, should they release the files? What about the tape of the DOJ's Ghislaine Maxwell interview? What's the explanation behind Maxwell's mysterious and highly unusual move to a cushier prison? And what about the victims alleging a cover-up? So, President Trump calls questions about the Epstein files something that is total bullshit. Just a reminder of a few of the people who, by the president's definition, have been full of bullshit.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would. I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office. It's sitting on my desk right now to review. A truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI. It's a new day. It's a new administration, and everything's going to come out to the public.
Now, I do want to stipulate that my wife once gave me this bar of soap to wash my mouth out when I got caught swearing on TV. With that in mind, Scott Jennings, we just heard the clip there. Why is J.D. Vance so concerned with bullshit?
Well, I'm going to apologize to my 11-year-old who's in the green room trying to watch this show right now for our potty talk tonight.
Well, the president's potty talk, let's be fair.
Well, you've certainly
I'm so sorry for repeating the president of the United States.
Look, here's the deal. I don't know what they're going to do. I know that the dinner they were supposed to be having, they say, the vice president directly says, was not about Epstein. I don't know if they've made any decisions. I don't know what they're planning to do. I didn't know what they were planning to do last night either. Nothing has changed in the last 24 hours. And so I assume at some point they're going to have to release some information. I assume at some point the members of the Republican leadership in Congress are going to have to decide how to handle a vote when they come back in September. But we're having the same conversation tonight that we had last night, that we had Friday, that we had Thursday, that we had Wednesday, and so on and so forth. And I think the president has a point. It's because nobody wants to talk about the good things that are happening in the country, so we're diverting into this.
I will say, one of the...
Yeah, the good things, like the abysmal job report. I mean, a brutal job report. But guess what, Scott? If you want people to stop talking about it, release the damn files, Poppy. I should put that one on a shirt. Release the damn files, Poppy. We keep talking about it because Trump and Republicans, like you, the pundits, keep trying to protect him from what we all know is likely there. So Scott wants to stop talking about this, should be screaming to release the files so we can all move on. And I just have to say this. You set me up for the alley-oop on this one. What a weirdo. Why would you bring your daughter on this set knowing you were going to talk about this? You couldn't have anyone babysit at all? Oh, he's a conservative. He knows it's probably not a good idea to leave your kids around conservatives, huh? As they defend these heinous acts. Hey, Scotty, I wonder what your daughter would think of you defending the very likely, I mean extremely likely, child abuser in chief, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Let's see the party of family values at work here.
The reason we're talking about it is because the Deputy Attorney General spent 2 days talking to a woman convicted of conspiring to sexually abuse minors with Jeffrey Epstein.
How many weeks ago?
He talked to her for 2 days, hasn't released what he talked about, and the president today called that a hoax.
Listen, I find it pretty interesting that folks are feigning outrage over how long we're talking about this because it's been a couple of weeks, self-inflicted by the president of the United States and his MAGA grifters who made podcasting careers out of demanding the Epstein files would be released. Now those people are in positions of power that they could actually release the Epstein files, and all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute, it's on the desk, it's not on the desk, it's a hoax, it's not, it's Democrats' fault, but it's bullshit now. I mean, they can't get their lies straight, so that's why we're still here. And yet, the survivors who were victimized by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein have had to live with this for 30 years. 30 years. So, you know what? Too bad if it's uncomfortable for people in MAGA world and for Republicans to have to keep defending this, because the survivors of these heinous acts and of these monsters have had to endure this for decades, and they deserve justice. And unfortunately, only since the last couple of days have the survivors actually been given some agency, and their voices are beginning to be heard, where it really should be about them and justice for them, not for Donald Trump and his MAGA world trying to figure out ways to cover his behind, because they're the ones who've been lying to the American people and protecting predators.
I agree with you that the victims should be the people who we are all focused on, and everyone who perpetrated a crime here should be punished to the full extent of the law, whether they have been punished yet or not. Right? We should all be able to agree on that.
Yep.
But what I want to know is, why have House Democrats not been so insistent on this for the last 4 years? When Merrick Garland was the Attorney General and when Joe Biden was president, they suddenly got interested in it like 2 weeks ago.
No, they should have been. Unless I will confess that they should have been. And I agree. The victims should be centered. We shouldn't be protecting power for pedophiles. And it is a legitimate question to ask, where were the Democrats? This shouldn't be a partisan issue. It could be political, but it shouldn't be partisan. We should care about girls and younger women who were sexually abused, and bring all of those people, whether they're Democrats or Republicans on the list, bring them to justice. So absolutely, where were the Democrats?
I think
You see, I like Nina. I just don't agree with where were the Democrats, because there's just some simple facts about what was happening at the time. Because again, we were in the middle of a pandemic. The country was in complete shutdown. January 6th just happened. Like, the overall main focus in the country, around the world, was the pandemic. I mean, we had over 1 million people pass away in this country alone. Right? We were trying to open the country back up for the first 2 years, and we were in a recession. Deep inflation, all made worse with how Republicans behave, like it was a conspiracy, lingered longer than it needed to be. And it is unfortunate. I agree, it is unfortunate, but the Epstein files wasn't top of mind for most people, right? Everyone is guilty of that sin, I guess, right? There was just so much happening at the time.
The sticking point here is that the Epstein files, Jeffrey Epstein, all of this was made a core piece of mythology from the right. That's right. Core piece of mythology, one of the most solid books in their Bible, because it was an example of the depth of the deep state, how much we have been taken over by bureaucracy, how much that bureaucracy was covering up for rich and powerful people. And Donald Trump and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and all those people were supposed to come in and take a sledgehammer to that. And they don't want to do it. And no amount of obfuscating, no amount of distraction is going to change the fact that they don't want to do it. And the answer is why. To be honest with you, the Democrats and everybody, culturally, we turned our eye away from this. It's definitely true. It's true. But, you know, just to be real with you, it's becoming more of a thing because of the hesitancy to deal with it. You're starting to wonder, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, talk to me more about that, because I'm not, to the extent that the Epstein situation wasn't in the mainstream before, Van, do you think it's more in the mainstream now?
When I was on TMZ and Epstein passed away, I actually got in trouble because I said it was the most bipartisan accomplishment that Washington had had in a generation, right? He had his hands in everything. Everyone was around. I saw a picture of him from the Times with him and Fidel Castro. They're laughing, having fun. Like, what's going on? People are now starting to concoct and invent scenarios about the depth of this because the government is obviously not keeping it straight with the people. And at a certain point, you know, the president can say whatever he wants to say, but I think he's reached the limit of how much his supporters are going to take from him without holding him accountable.
Can I ask you,
Scott's just a nasty dude. Look at his face. He's like, nope, we will stand strong with him and this likely abuse of children. This is so gross. But careful, everyone. Don't say bad words near his daughter, like he said.
One thing, you said you want to punish everyone to the full extent of the law. Does that include Ghislaine Maxwell, who just got this highly mysterious move to a literal prison camp in Texas, which is way cushier by all accounts? You know, a country club I read, like Atmosphere in one of the papers, you have to get super high approval to get moved there. Is that being punished to the full extent of the law?
There's we can't release a lot of things because courts won't let them. Like grand jury testimony cannot be released. They've asked the courts to do that. They can't do it. So what's the next?
The grand jury part of it is less than 10%. Trump can release the overwhelming amount of files, literally today.
Best thing, talk to somebody, even someone who's culpable. And Ghislaine Maxwell is definitely culpable. See if she will divulge details that we don't know that we could make public. If they have to move her from prison A to prison B to get her to talk, to release more details, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
This is outrageous. Well, first of all, just to reemphasize how outrageous it is that she was moved from a medium security prison to a prison camp. I worked on commutations and pardons when I was a congressional staffer. I've actually been to these types of facilities. And I can tell you, when I was advocating for Border Patrol agents who were unjustly prosecuted and facing 11 and 12 years in prison, they were not a threat. They were not going to abscond. And trying to get them moved closer to their family to a prison camp required virtually an act of the president. The Bureau of Prisons was not trying to do it. It didn't matter. So this was something that was clearly done as a favor. Why is the president of the United States and this administration doing favors for a convicted child sex trafficker? That is the answer. That should be asked every single day.
He cannot. Is he doing it so that? Are they doing it so that perhaps she will give more information?
She's had plenty of opportunity to do that. She's also been convicted of perjury. She's going to say and do whatever she needs to.
She was never convicted of perjury. Two things. One, the prosecutor said that she committed perjury. They didn't go and prosecute her for that. And for what it's worth, the president says he didn't know. He didn't know anything about her.
Please, give me a break. He knows how much paint is being painted in the White House. You're telling me he doesn't know what's going on with someone like this who he's known for decades? That's bullshit.
So we have lots of speeches about how we got to protect the victims. If there's one person who we can get to who might be able to provide information that could bring people to justice, you don't want them to talk to her?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. The credibility of this person who has
so you don't want all the information?
No. I would love all the information. And you know where that is? You know where that is? That's in the files that the FBI and the Justice Department
You don't think she might have something to say?
She's going to say whatever she needs to because Donald Trump has control over her freedom. So I'm sorry, what she has to say is irrelevant at this point. It's what the credibility of what she has to say is garbage. Where you can find that information is in the files that the Department of Justice, that Pam Bondi could release right now, today. It has nothing to do with the courts.
Are you aware of what the victims themselves say in regards to how they feel about Maxwell's release or pardon or commutation?
It's a release or pardon.
Well, no. What they
I don't want her pardon.
But listen, what they have talked about is the very direct ways that Maxwell victimized them.
Correct.
And
that's why she's in jail.
She's a criminal.
For that?
Right. So what I'm saying right now
she should be
is
talked to and mined for information.
Rather than
that's the argument.
Rather than add something onto it and introduce a new component into it, release what we have.
Correct.
Like, release what we have so that people can see it and make their own minds up about what's untoward, what's criminal, or what's not. Bringing her in so that she can parrot what people want her to say, and then rewarding her for abusing young women for decades is ridiculous.
It's untenable.
Yeah.
And big ups to people like Representative Brocana, Rep. Massey, and Rep. Summer Lee. At least they're continuing to push this issue. All of America should be outraged by this.
All right, and big props to all of you who did not swear.
Scott and the other dude, the one that says white, I don't know, the way he says white just sounds racist to me. I'm joking, I know it's Southern, but they're really trying to pretend like we should trust Maxwell. Like, these guys are so gross. They're only doing that because obviously she's going to protect Trump. Like, these two are literally trying to help a child sex trafficker in Ghislaine, and a very likely, I mean extremely likely, child abuser in Trump. But hey, be careful, guys. Careful with the language around Scott's daughter. Like, you know how sick you have to have this kind of logic? Like, and to Tara's point, what they would just quickly mention there, why won't Trump just simply say, no, he won't pardon her? Why is he afraid of just saying he won't pardon her?
Consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if
it's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
But you wouldn't rule it out, sir. Pardon or clemency for Ghislaine?
Well, I don't want to talk about that. What I do want to say is that Todd is a great attorney, but you ought to be speaking about Larry Summers. You ought to be speaking about some of his friends that are hedge fund guys. They're all over the place. You ought to be speaking about Bill Clinton, who went to the island 28 times. I never went to the island.
Do you maintain you did not write a letter for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday?
I don't even know what they're talking about. Now, somebody could have written a letter and used my name, but that's happened a lot.
Afraid that she would tell the truth if she doesn't get anything in return? Obviously. Like, and you can't really trust her one way or another. Like, she already lied. And look, this is my last bit here. This is where we are now. Dems have no problem releasing the files. Right? Even Clinton, whose nose is in it, he doesn't even care. Republicans are the ones blocking the release of this, and took early vacation now to not have these files released. It's clear who's trying to hide something. Remember why this is all happening? Because of Trump's own bloodthirsty voters. Words that Tiffany Cross used, and it's exactly what happened. So they can continue to say it's a hoax or whatever, but anyone with eyes and ears can see Trump is extremely nervous about this. And it's probably not a hard puzzle to solve as to why, unless you're completely biased and you're an occultist and you cannot see through this. The suspicious behavior is glaring. And like they say, no one should be above the law. Like we all say, if Democrats are in there, take them all to jail. I couldn't care un poquito. There's not one human in the world I would excuse from this. Not a single one. Republicans out there, think about what you're standing by and supporting. You don't have to vote Democrats. That's not what this is about. But are you sure you want to vote for a party that's willing to do this and willing to lie to you about all this? Calling you stupid and losers because you wanted them to release the file like they said they would? You're the party of Christian, family, and law and order values? Come on, Papi, how does that work? Papi. It doesn't make sense. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. I love reading all of them. I try to read all of them. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps spread the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.